Hello and welcome to my latest webinar. I'm very excited to be collaborating with Valley on this. So today we're going to be talking about the future of beauty merchandising. So how can you turn point of sale into a brand experience? And we're going to be covering, there's a lot to cover today. Sorry, I'm just trying to work out how to click my slides. Sorry. Oh, it works. Here we go. So yeah, we're going to be talking about biggest shifts shaping beauty retail in 2026, what they mean for brands, why the best store activations are moving beyond promotion and really creating memorable brand experience, the power of unexpected collaborations, and also going to be sharing some brand case studies as well along the way. So you can really visualize kind of what's happening in retail now and how the fixtures can now start to work harder to drive discovery and also drive engagement and sales as well. Who's here today? Myself. You might know, some of you might know me, some of you may not. So my name is Wiz. I am a retail strategist, a consumer trend expert, and business coach. I've spent 12 years working at Selfridges, latterly as head of beauty buying, which ultimately is one of the best stores, maybe I am biased, in the world for retail experience. And I now have a consulting business, which I've had for the last 9 years, working with major brands, retailers, and also a lot of fast growth startup brands as well, helping them to scale. Over the years, I've worked with thousands of brands, and I combine deep commercial knowledge with an understanding of evolving customer behavior and their needs, and help businesses translate this to cut through the noise and drive commercial growth. I'm also really excited to have Victoria and Holly from Valley as well. They're experts in creating and delivering these great retail experiences. And also another guest expert, Rose, who's head of brand from MUA Makeup Academy. So please feel free to use the chat as well. There will be time for questions at the end. I always think these webinars are a great opportunity to also get to know other people. So if you want to share your name, your business, what your job role is as well into the chat, I'd love to hear from you. I won't be able to look at them all as I'm going through it, but at the end, we'll be able to go through and hear about who you are and also any questions as well. So that's any questions for myself, for Victoria, for Holly, or for Rose as well. And so we'll be leaving some space at the end for that. So why are we sharing this? Retail merchandising is really more than just physical design. There's a lot of insight and strategy that goes into delivering the best customer experience at any scale. And that's the design, that's the manufacture, that's the store execution, and also then how are you delivering on ongoing insights to allow brands to refine and improve trading strategies as well. Which is why I'm really excited to partner with Valley today, because kind of they do this whole kind of, I suppose, 360 approach. It isn't just about a shop fit design. There's a lot more that goes into, I suppose, the concept development, the trading of the business, and certainly having been a buyer myself, it's very important that you're thinking about constantly trading the business and improving the business as well. It's not just about launching a product in store on a shelf and expecting it to sell. And obviously, the connection with brands is so brand and that brand identity and that shopping experience in store is so intrinsic to the performance of a brand. So how has the shelf changed? So the role of merchandising over the years is changing from kind of getting seen to creating a reason to shop. Consumers are discovering products all over the place. So we've seen this constant evolution of information overload. People are researching so much more on brands before they go into store. They're seeing things on TikTok with creators. They're searching on AI. There's social commerce. So there's becoming much more variety and I suppose complex way of people interacting with brands often before they even come into store. And also then you have to think about the customers that are coming into store and also discovering brand for the first time as well. So it isn't always the first moment of discovery, and of course it still can be, but that also can then be that moment of validation as well. So how are you kind of really tipping that customer over the edge and thinking, yes, I've been seeing this in all these different places, and this is now where I'm going to be purchasing as well. So it means that merchandising is having to work harder than ever. And certainly when brands launch with us into a store as well, you're surrounded by all these other brands as well. So there's kind of some really stiff competition as well. So there's really kind of a new role of point of sale as well, as in it's becoming a place for experience, I suppose reassurance that this is the product that I do want to buy, and also conversion as well as just that pure discovery. So kind of we're really moving from this visibility, promotion, this discount messaging to really trying to convey storytelling, experience, education, brand building, and ultimately building trust between a brand and consumer as well. So I'm going to go over kind of 4 key shifts that I'm seeing that's kind of really reshaping the beauty merchandising in 2026. So the first one that I'm seeing is kind of really experience over exposure, kind of which I was just kind of just hinting at. Customers are overloaded with messages. We all know how bombarded we are. If I asked you to tell me last time you went on Instagram, what do you remember seeing? It was probably very overwhelming to think about what that is, and maybe you can't even think of anything, let alone kind of one key thing from a brand. So it's really about brands winning to create moments in store as well, rather than just displays. And we're seeing a lot of multi-brand retailers focusing on this. So you can see H Beauty has been a kind of a new beauty standalone store concept that's been developed after the last few years. They're really focusing on giving over kind of real space to education, to services, to events, to pop-ups, and retailers investing more and more into experiential retail environments and also kind of these promotional spaces as well, because they recognise that the store needs to be changing on a regular basis. It needs to keep the customer excited, and they need to allow, I suppose, time and space for customers to be playing as well. Selfridges has always been famous for rotating pop-ups. I mean, it's probably 10 years since I left, but even when I was there, we were doing new exclusive brand experience pop-ups every single week in store, in different locations with different brands, with worldwide exclusives. So it was really about kind of collaborating and kind of pushing brands to think outside the box, to do different things, and making sure it was kind of first to market, whether that was the shop fit, the experience, the product launch, the marketing communication, or kind of all of them at once to create this amazing experience. And again, we've seen Space NK kind of really accelerating their growth. And I think it's one of the most impressive, I suppose, turnaround retailers kind of in the last kind of 5 years. And they've always had very small format stores, which has been very highly curated. But we're now seeing this massive growth from them where they're creating much bigger stores into larger format, into more experiential. Their new Oxford Circus store has often got queues going down the street, which is really exciting. And then the same with kind of brands that are really creating these immersive experiences. They're popping up in really interesting locations. So, I mean, Rose is a really interesting one that is popping up in all sorts of unique ways to connect with customers. That's really around, I suppose, that experience and that kind of being immersed in that brand world. And also that social sharing opportunity as well. And these are some images where they recently popped up at Coachella. So really thinking how can they be really culturally relevant as well, rather than just traditional retail, which helps drive kind of some of their D2C, but a lot of these D2C brands are now really seeing the importance of physical retail as well, and how can they translate some of these into physical retail. Brands such as The Ordinary, rather than simply launching products, they're kind of creating pop-ups into almost kind of, again, cultural statements on the beauty industry itself. So with the markup marché, so kind of really talking about, again, back to their roots, why did they create the brand? It was really about making kind of more scientific, science-backed products more accessible, and kind of how a lot of brands are exaggerating kind of inflated prices. And again, creating this real experience for customers, and taking that on a roadshow around the country as well. So the second shift and trend that we're seeing is the rise in the digital shelf, which is always a mouthful. So we're seeing customers that are moving seamlessly between social media. We've obviously seen a huge TikTok boom as well. Obviously, lots of people would Google and research brands before purchase, and now we're seeing this massive growth into AI as well. Social commerce is also becoming much bigger, as well as this store experience of physical stores becoming a real discovery point. That point of validation as well, where actually once a lot of research has been done, that's where customers then want to go and try on, experience product, and understand whether this brand is right for them. So again, that touch point is becoming more and more important, and you're seeing that with the queues that are outside some of these stores like Space NK and like Sephora as well, where people want this point of discovery as well. So merchandising must connect these digital and physical touch points as well. So what does this mean? It means things like QR integration, having space for kind of creators to create content in store with physical events, an opportunity for that to be socially shared. Educational assets also really important in store, smart displays, and making sure that there's better navigation on shelves as well. Because although there's often sales associates, the customer is often more knowledgeable than the sales associates. Particularly if it's a multi-brand retailer. In lots of ways, I feel quite sorry for the sales associates where they used to be the experts, but now the customers are coming in and they're so knowledgeable often already. It's really important that you obviously have very well-trained staff, but then also you're creating that merchandising experience so the customer can navigate what they've probably already researched themselves online in the physical experience as well. So that shelf, that education at shelf is becoming more and more important than ever. The next shift is obviously retail space must work hard, must work harder. And a lot of brands don't have this luxury of these huge pop-ups at Selfridges or these big experiential sites and shopping centres. And sometimes maybe you won't even get gondola ends or have kind of the premium locations all the time. So sometimes you'll be offered these spaces, but then you have to think about how you're trading on a day-to-day basis as well, because you cannot rely on just these additional spaces to be activating the brands. So what we're really seeing is kind of a success increasingly comes from better fixture design, stronger messaging, better shopper navigation, and ultimately, how do you increase the customer dwell time in these spaces? And if smaller footprints do have an opportunity to outperform larger ones if they're designed correctly. Because ultimately you want to have these kind of peaks of sales when you have these big pop-ups, but actually what can you do on a day-to-day basis? Because if you can be consistently growing your day-to-day trading, it's going to be a much more profitable way of growing as well. And that's where we're going to be going into some case studies soon as well, which is very exciting. And you can see these examples here of kind of how these brands are kind of, I suppose, really elevating the brand, and it has very strong brand identity and also navigation in some of these fixtures. And then the fourth and final trend that I'm really seeing a lot of, particularly in the current market, is collaboration, because that can create real cut through. Consumers want the surprise. Unexpected partnerships can be really cool, and I think when the cost of marketing is getting more and more expensive, budgets are being squeezed. There's lots of brands out there that are trying to reach a similar audience, or potentially they want to target a new audience. So by brands coming together, sometimes in the same category, but also across different categories, there's a real opportunity. And this can, in a way, come as kind of free marketing. You both have a database, you both have a customer base. So how can you kind of look at this to, I suppose, really drive additional revenue, improve your earned media, really get a conversation going as well, particularly kind of with press, with customers, with influencers, reaching those new audiences, and also creating real retail excitement as well. And this is something that buyers absolutely love. It's often something that if you can collaborate and create something exclusively well, it's going to get real cut through. And we see this from the kind of big fashion houses doing it and collaborating to kind of beauty brands, to beauty and wellness. So the most effective collaborations kind of create cultural relevance, as well as conversation, as well as sales as well. So a great one that I've seen recently. Oh, my clicker's gone a bit funny. Here we go. Yeah, is the Anya Hindmarch and Boots collaboration. We've seen Anya Hindmarch do a lot of collaborations kind of in the premium space, but doing it with Boots again was something unexpected. It was something really excited. Again, going back to the kind of that heritage of that neighborhood chemist, as well as kind of really building trust as well, and kind of going back and reminding people of the heritage that Boots has. And kind of really blending that kind of playful storytelling with retail theatre as well. And it's very iconic, and both brands shining through kind of with their kind of real brand identity as well. So we're now going to move on to case studies. I'm really excited that we've got 3 guest speakers with us today. We've got Victoria and Holly from Valley, who are experts in creating great retail experiences, and also Rose, who's head of brand from MUA Makeup Academy as well. So we're going to kick off with the first case study, which is Shark Beauty. And I'm really excited about this one because Shark Beauty are using technology, not just for technology's sake, because ultimately it has to improve the customer experience and help it become humanized as well. But it's there to create a more engaging shopping experience by actually understanding how customers are interacting with the display. So I'm really excited to welcome Victoria from Valley to share how this project came to life. Just on mute. Classic.
Just to show it is live. So, there were some key objectives for us behind this brief. The main one was, how do we actually get more shoppers to interact with products in store? We know that in this category, with it being a higher price point, that physical interaction plays a really important role because it builds reassurance in the purchase and supports with that journey. So that was key. The other piece was, how do we help bridge the gap between knowledge that we have from so many data points online, which could be social media, could be websites, through to in-store? Because we have all those great analytics, but when we get into a physical in-store environment, it often falls short. So that was a key piece of this. And then primarily is, how do we create the optimized shopper experience for that brand? So they were the key challenges that we face. And it was apparent from the start that a traditional display wasn't really going to cut it with this. So we worked on a really premium design. We made sure that it was disruptive because it was going into a multi-branded retailer environment. And then we added smart technology to it. So the smart technology works in the sense that we place a small sensor on the display, and that allows us to map an area. We can be quite specific as well with these points. So it allows us to understand shopper behavior at the display. So on quite a detailed product by product level, so we can see what's working and conversely what isn't. And by being able to react to that, we get to be able to really, pinpoint and direct where the focus should be in those updates. So that together became a really powerful test and learn mechanic for the whole rollout.
Amazing. And I suppose a lot of brands will see a fixture as a cost rather than an investment. And talk to me about how this technology helps demonstrate the ROI of a fixture as well.
Yeah, sure. So we can capture lots of different data points as part of this. So we can see what shoppers are picking up on the display and what they aren't. We can see the direction of approach to the display. We can also help support, dwell time. So how long are they spending at the display, or are they just walking past it? And all that information is just so valuable because where you have limited resource or limited team, it allows you to be able to be very prescriptive on a store by store, location, even display by display level where you've got multiple displays in one store. So you can be very calculated in saying, okay, we think that this isn't working because it could be a brand communication issue. Because we engineered the display to be modular, it allows for a really easy update. So it might be that we want to add some illumination, or we want to change out some of the product communication on the panels, for example, or it might be a campaign messaging update. So by understanding that, we can then send out the appropriate pieces to store, and often they can self-install it, or we can have a team supporting it. So it just means that we're constantly reactive to that live data viewpoint that we have of shopper behavior and reactions.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really cool. And so do you think what's the future? Like, are we going to get to a point where I suppose displays are constantly evolving? They're almost, I suppose, living assets that a brand has rather than just installing once and then changing it every 6 months.
Absolutely, and we're already getting to that point now, which is great because this is a big investment for brands. And like I said, this is very much a test and learn model. And the platform that we work with on this and that we give brands opportunity to have visibility of, that's constantly evolving as well. So we now have AI integration into it. So what that essentially means is if you have a store, for example, and you wanted to understand, okay, why is Trafford outperforming Oxford Street, for example? You can simply ask it that question and it will come up with a detailed response. I think that, data's great, but when you've got so much of it, unless you can make it tangible and learn from it and put that into practice, it almost becomes too much. So I think by having that detailed understanding, being able to be reactive in the right places, ultimately it's building this better shopper experience all the time. You're talking about building excitement into retail, and that is absolutely what it needs. We see all this hype, all this discovery phase on TikTok, social media, through word of mouth, through pop-ups. How do we then get that energy transferred into store on displays? Well, that can come through screen content. It could be updated comms. And because we can be so live and reactive to that, it creates a synergy with everything else that the brands are doing outside of the retail footprint to keep that brand heat and excitement in store.
Amazing. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I also remember like at Selfridges, sort of obviously only managing 4 stores, but the differences between Manchester Trafford and Manchester City Centre of the products that people bought, the brands, and then also once you start to scale that into huge numbers of stores, it can, yeah, retailers will often like kind of class them into like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, but actually there's still be so many nuances within that as well. So it just starts to allow retailers to yeah, really start optimizing things and the brands as well. So yeah, it's really a joint effort. So thank you for sharing. Um, cool. And then Holly, I'd love you to talk about Bioma, because I suppose this is really about how do you make a small space feel bigger, because I think this really proves you don't necessarily need a huge footprint, and most brands really do have to win from the shelf space that they've got. And I think Biome is a brilliant example of like how this fixture is really cleverly thought through from a design perspective. I'd love you to talk through a bit more of it.
Absolutely. I think just from looking at that image, especially seeing it in store, is that color blocking really does create that stopping power. The products can, some of them are very tall, which was a bit of a challenge that we had because the shelf space was quite small. But some of the products are that tiny, the lip tides kits, the base pads, the cleansers, they're all quite small products. So making sure that that color blocking was so visible meant that people could actually stop. But the other thing is definitely the clear navigation on this. On the third shelf down, just under the visual, we actually created step-by-step guides. So each place had 3 steps with 3 products that was color blocked, dependent obviously on the color of the product as well as on the whole color of the brand. But each step was step 1, then the product itself, the tester, and then a very, very slight, tiny bit of wording that told you exactly what it was quickly and easily so you could navigate it, which with this really helped to, well, increase purchasing, which is what we all want, but also make sure that people are actually picking up the right product, because we know when you're in such a busy store environment, it's so easy to pick up the wrong color, the wrong shade, the wrong anything. So having that clear and concise color blocking to actually help the brand is what's needed, but also the updatability of that when you're in such a fast moving market like Bioma, they've got products coming out all the time. It's got to be a flexible experience that we can create that also helps to keep costs down, but making sure that we are utilizing that navigation, we're utilizing the education on the shelf just to help completely reduce confusion. But I mean, the biggest takeaway from this project is that simplicity sometimes is better, especially with Bioma. The colors are so bright. I mean, the product and packaging team's done a really great job on making sure this stands out in store. But even just using the same background color throughout the whole shelf, we did this on a gondola, throughout the whole gondola, just means that it really does stand out in your face, which is great. But also, this is where I sit on this anyway, is that when you are designing for a small space, you've also got to consider what the retail environment is, because across, like you were just saying, Liz, Selfridges Manchester city centre compared to the Trafford Centre are completely different. So why do you need to put in the same execution? I get that you've got to be able to have consistency, especially with Sephora, which is where this was, but you've got to change Sephora compared to Boots, compared to Superdrug. You've really got to think about where the fixture is, the sizing, who are you next to? Because the last thing you want to do is put in something that's going to clash with one of your competitors or look weaker. So, I mean, making color blocking always does really help with this.
Yeah, no, it's very, very powerful. I also love that bestseller shelf as well, because again, it's for that customer that maybe hasn't discovered the brand before. They're like, okay, well, that's what I need. And it again goes back to that taking away the overwhelm, doesn't it? If you
Exactly.
could give brands one piece of advice on making a small retail footprint work harder, what would it be?
Oh, it's got to be the messaging. The last thing that you want to do is be stood at a fixture, not really understanding what the product's doing, which is what you're there to buy. What the beauty of this was, it's really, really clear. It tells you that this is a cleanser for X, Y, and Z. You don't need what the product ingredients are. They didn't need any of that. If the shoppers engage, they'll pick up the product. That's when they'll test it. That's when they'll do it all. It really is a step-by-step guide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what you need. If you want this perfect skincare routine, this is your navigation. It's that simple. So definitely keep the messaging as clear and concise as possible, but also make sure that it's not confusing. Having that clear color blocking within your messaging that correlates back to your product color really also is massive. I mean, the one thing that we all want, and this is where I mean, I don't think anyone tries to purposefully go away from this, but you want them to make a quick decision in these store environments. You don't want them to ponder and think and talk themselves out of a product. So you need to be able to hit them with the facts, hit them with what's easy, hit them with the routine that most people want these days, and take that slow decision making away from them. Don't make them read.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's and it's I see so many brands that are D2C focused first and then going into retail, and you have to think about things in a really different way, because when you have a website or social media, you can educate so much, put so much content out, and then as a brand, people are like, what? I could only say one sentence or 3 words or something like that. So it's quite a big transition quite often for people to translate that into what works in a retail fixture as well, which I think you've done really well here.
Exactly. You can't always showcase everything and always get everything on a fixture. So don't try and do it, because it's just going to look clunky. It's just going to look messy, and you're not going to stand out at all. You're only going to hinder what you actually are trying to achieve. So yeah, definitely be ruthless with messaging. But also, the other thing that I always say is you really need to stick to your visual identity. Really just need to figure out what it looks like and completely go with that mindset. Don't try and change things too much. Just know what you've got to do, be positive with it, and believe in what you're doing. Because designers, we will the last thing you want is to be given a brand pack and we do the design work where you're not really sure what your colors are, you're not really sure what this is. If you know what your brand identity is, this is where like our jobs come in as with a creative team, and what design teams are good at. This is what they do. They help bring your brand to life. So if you know what your visual identity is going to look like, then we can help with that in store, and it makes things easier.
Right, thank you. Cool. So I'm just going to go on to the third case study, which is Barocca. So slightly different category. And this is Barocca in Sainsbury's, but I always think it's really interesting to look at other categories. So what can beauty learn from FMCG, for example? And again, you'd think Barocca is kind of quite, I don't know, you wouldn't think it was that much of a disruptive brand, but actually they've done a lot of innovation in merchandising, which is, I think, really interesting. So this is disruption of a complex category. So again, by creating something that's different, and I imagine this might not have originally fallen into the guidelines with retailers, because I think a lot of people on this call will know how strict guidelines can be with retailers, because if every brand on every shelf had this installation, it would be too much. It would be information overload, and actually each brand would kind of get lost. So again, sometimes it's about proposing to kind of break some of those guidelines, giving a buyer a reason to get excited about it. And this is kind of really meaning that shoppers, when they're on autopilot, kind of walking through, doing their weekly shop, that something like a large visual installation can really make people stop. It kind of will really kind of break that, I suppose, like zombie mode that we're all in, going after the things that we think we need in a weekly shop. And this also isn't taking up space on the shopping shelves either, which again I think is really interesting. And then if you also look about the navigation here, it's really helping people on that top shelf, which again is usually people don't necessarily aren't shopping that high up, but they is somewhere where they can be looking and understanding what is the right product for them to be buying as well. And so it's that improved shopper navigation is kind of really helping people with product choice as well, because as a brand grows and as there's more a wider range, that product choice can sometimes kind of create decision paralysis as well. So as a brand, you really need to be making sure that you're not overwhelming a customer as well, and particularly in the shopping environment where it's somewhere like Sainsbury's and they're buying a lot of different products in that shop. It's about making things as easy as possible with them, because imagine if someone's going into Boots, they're probably buying a handful of things they can hold in their hand, or a basket, probably not even filling the basket, whereas a supermarket, they're filling a trolley. They've got to make a lot of decisions very, very quickly around what they're purchasing. So again, really thinking about that navigation of helping people shop around range is really, really important. So always encourage you to think outside your category as well, because often some of the best ideas and inspiration can come from there as well. So our fourth and final case study, I'm excited to welcome on Rose, who's head of brand from MUA Makeup Academy. And yeah, collaboration can also involve merchandising. So I'm really excited to welcome Rose, kind of talk about this really unexpected partnership with Caniston. And yeah, welcome Rose. Thank you for coming on today and sharing this. I'd love you to give us an overview of this campaign.
Thanks for inviting me. So we were actually approached by Caniston about this project, and initially, I'll be honest, I was kind of like, "Oh, this is unusual. How can we collaborate with them?" So Caniston have a great educational platform called The Truth Undressed, and very much that is about breaking down stigmas, kind of a place where people with female anatomy can go to find out any questions if they're not quite confident enough, maybe to go to their parents or to the GP. And actually, when I might be honest, I only heard about it through Caniston. And when we kind of delved into it, there was a lot of alignment between the educational piece and how we are as a brand as well. We very much we're all about authenticity. We don't retouch our photos or the models. So there was some real kind of yeah, like I say, alignment in terms of what they're trying to do from the educational piece, and then what we try to do as a brand as well. We very much are also about kind of celebrating everybody, however they want to be. So it made sense for us in that sense. And then also it was great from a kind of retailer perspective. We're both exclusive to their Canna School was exclusive to Superdrug at the time. So we're an exclusive Gobi brand for Superdrug. So again, we really wanted to lean into that partnership and see how we can make that kind of work with Superdrug, and bring healthcare and beauty together. Again, kind of getting our, I suppose, cross-category shopping basically, which I think you leaned into earlier, and it hadn't been done before, to my knowledge. So we had Canna School on our hotspot, which is an area of our fixture, and also we were in the healthcare aisle, which was great. And then we had this FSDU, which you can see here. So we had actually 3 touch points within the Superdrug stores where you could pick up the different product. And then within there as well, we made sure we had QR codes again, so that kind of interactive engagement piece. So if people aren't confident to go and talk to the pharmacist, they can scan the QR and find out more that way. And very much, like I said, really pushing that education piece, which again is important to us as a brand. And then what we found through kind of activating this campaign was that we were targeting, yes, that our shop is quite age agnostic. So we kind of had the mums or people who looked after, mums, aunts, whoever, kind of engaging with the campaign, as well as young girls engaging with the campaign, or people who have female anatomy. So it was a really great cross education piece, because we found like parents or aunts or uncles were taking the information to their children as well. So it was a really great activation from our side.
Amazing. I'd love to hear kind of what feedback you received, kind of from retailers and customers as well.
Yeah. So from the Superdrug's perspective, I know that it's been one of their kind of big pushes to get people shopping in the different aisles. So if you're going into healthcare, how can we pull you into beauty? And if you're going in for beauty, how can we pull you into healthcare? So that was really greatly received from their side. And again, we did a really great 360 O&O piece as well. So there was an online thing as well, with a direct, again, QR code related, so you can go straight to the website there and have a whole host of education there with some beauty tips. Because as we know, lots of people cross shop. So if you're looking for a Canna School cream, you might also be wanting a mascara or something. So actually, it was really great from that piece. And we saw a real increase in the sales of these particular products. We did some limited edition dedicated products for this campaign, which was great. And then from a customer perspective, we had really great feedback, again, from multi-generations. So there were kind of young adults who contacted us saying, oh, we're so happy that you've kind of brought this to our attention. It needs to be talked about more. And then also from older caregivers who were really impressed that we were kind of helping to tackle this stigma and shame, which still exists. It's still something that's not spoken about enough. And actually, we still work with the Truth Undressed now, which is great. It's something that we're continually evolving, and really proud to be working with them and just to help push the education piece.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. It's such a great collaboration, and so important. And I think it's just a good reminder that customers don't necessarily think in categories as brands do, but customers think in their needs. So what do I need today? Which is really interesting. Thank you. We're kind of nearly at the end, so please do start putting any kind of questions in the chat. I can see a few have come through already, I think. So what does winning merchandising look like in 2026? So there's 4 principles for you to take away for today, is kind of and questions to, I suppose, ask yourself and your teams. Is how do you think about stop selling products and really start to create moments within physical kind of stores and experiences? And ask yourselves, what will make somebody stop? What will stop them in their tracks? And we've talked about lots of principles today and kind of given different examples there as well. How can you design for discovery? So can a shopper very quickly understand what it is, why it matters, why should I be looking at this now, and why is it relevant to me? And trying to think about that literally within 3 seconds. that customer is in store, surrounded very often by lots of other brands as well. So you need to be making sure that you're getting that cut through as they're walking along that aisle. How can you think about building a brand aisle? So even if you have a very small shelf space, think of that as a mini flagship. Don't think about, I suppose, oh, well, it's only just a small footprint. Try and think about every footprint as you would as if it was a big space, and kind of put a really considered approach into each area that you're designing for, even if it's kind of half a meter of shelf space. And then think beyond beauty. So looking at other categories, so FMCG, wellness, fashion, technology. So this is for inspiration, seeing what other people do, kind of from a visual side, from marketing, and then also collaboration, because looking at these other areas could, again, spark ideas, as we heard today with Caniston approaching MUA Makeup Academy. So those are the 4 things for you your homework to think about today. So the future of merchandising isn't point of sale. I truly believe it's point of experience. So something to mull over after this. So I want to say a huge thank you to Valley for supporting this webinar and sharing their innovation today. As you can see from the case studies and examples that we've shown, that Valley designed from a strategic point of view, to also the design and manufacture, but then also from what you saw with Sharp Beauty, of kind of that continued kind of trading opportunity with stores as well. They're offering way more than just design and production. It's really about that strategic thinking and delivering a true brand experience and the impact in stores, as well as improving that trading experience through that smart technology. So if you're looking to turn your merchandising into true brand experience and making your fixture work harder, please do get in contact with Victoria. You can see her email is on the screen. And we'll also be following up with a recording of this as well. And I'm Wiz, and yeah, please do come and connect with me on LinkedIn, and we're going to answer any questions now. So thank you for joining.